"Marry me," I said, holding up a burned tray of cinnamon rolls like it was an engagement ring. It would save both of us from ever having to survive another school fundraiser alone. I expected Camille Hart to laugh. My 7-year-old daughter, Lucy, certainly did. She clapped both hands over her mouth and nearly fell off the porch swing. Camille did not laugh. The color drained from her face. She set down her coffee, crossed the narrow strip of lawn between our houses, and took my wrist. Without a word, she led me through her kitchen, down the hall, and into her bedroom. Then she opened a white door beside the dresser. Behind it was a nursery no child had ever come home to. Before I tell you what happened next, subscribe and stay with me. And tell me in the comments whether a joke can reveal a truth before the people telling it are ready to hear it. My name is Ethan Walker. I was 30 years old then, a self-employed home repair contractor in Franklin, Tennessee, and a single father who had spent 5 years learning how to braid hair badly, stretch a grocery budget, and pretend I was not exhausted. Lucy's mother, Brooke, had left when Lucy was 2. Addiction had taken her far from us long before she drove away, but she was alive, which made the grief more complicated. There was no funeral, no grave, no clean ending. There was only an empty chair and a little girl who kept asking whether her mother might come back when she was better enough. Camille was 26, exactly 4 years younger than me, and she lived in the blue cottage next door. She was a pediatric speech therapist at a clinic across town. She had moved in 8 months earlier, kept her roses trimmed, her curtains half closed, and her life arranged so neatly that nothing seemed capable of surprising her. Until I made that joke. The room behind the white door was small. Pale yellow stars had been painted across one wall. A wooden crib stood beneath the window, made up with a fitted sheet patterned with tiny moons. There was a rocking chair in the corner, and a shelf holding 3 board books, a stuffed lamb, and a pair of white baby shoes. On the wall above the crib was a name painted in careful letters. Rose. Camille released my wrist. I could hear Lucy laughing outside with our neighbor Mr. Alvarez, who had volunteered to help at the fundraiser and had wisely refused to eat my cinnamon rolls. Inside that room, the air felt still enough to hold its breath. "I'm sorry," I said. "I didn't know." "No," Camille answered. Her voice was low, not angry. "You didn't." She walked to the crib and rested her fingers on the rail. "My daughter was born 3 years ago. She lived 11 hours. There are moments when language becomes insulting because nothing you can say is large enough. I knew that feeling. I had felt it every time someone told Lucy that her mother loved her in her own way, as if those words could make a 5-year absence less sharp. Camille stared at the little shoes. "Her father left before the funeral," she continued. "He said he couldn't stay in a house where every room reminded him of what we lost. I told him there was only one room. He said I had turned the whole house into it." I looked around. The room was spotless, but it was not preserved like a museum. It was waiting. That was worse. "Camille, I really am sorry." She finally looked at me. Her eyes were bright but steady. "Don't joke about marrying me again, Ethan. I won't. Not unless you mean it." Then she walked out, leaving me alone beside a crib built for a child who had lived less than half a day. I stood there for another few seconds, looking at the name on the wall and feeling like the worst man in Tennessee. Then I followed her back through the house. Lucy met me on the porch with frosting on her cheek. "Did she say yes?" "No, Bug. Did she say no?" "Not exactly." Camille came out behind me carrying the burned tray. Her face had gone calm again. "We are going to the bakery," she announced. "Your father is banned from yeast. I used refrigerated dough. Then you are banned from opening cardboard tubes." Lucy giggled and slipped her hand into Camille's. I watched the two of them walk toward Camille's car, one small and fearless, the other composed so carefully that only I knew what was hidden 20 feet behind us. That afternoon, we sold 36 bakery cinnamon rolls at the elementary school fundraiser and pretended nothing had changed. Everything had. For the next week, Camille and I became polite strangers. We waved across the driveway. We discussed trash pickup and a broken fence board. She asked Lucy how school was and avoided looking at me for more than a second. I let her. I had spent enough of my life around pain to know that an apology could become selfish if you kept demanding that the hurt person accept it. So I fixed the loose latch on her back gate without mentioning it. I left a bag of potting soil beside her roses because I had seen the bottom tear open. I did not knock. On Friday evening, Lucy came home from school carrying a paper shaped like a tree. "We have to make a family history project," she said. I was under the kitchen sink replacing a leaking shutoff valve. "Sounds fun." "It is not fun." I slid out and found her standing with her backpack still on, staring at the paper. There were blank circles for parents, grandparents, siblings, and important family members. "What's wrong?" She pointed to the circle labeled Mother. "My teacher said I can put a picture or write a name. What do I put if somebody is alive but not here?" That question hit harder than any honest question from a child has a right to. I wiped my hands on a towel and sat at the table. "You can write Brooke Walker. She is still your mother. Even if she doesn't do mother things?" "Yes." Lucy frowned. "Can I put Camille in important family?" I should have said yes immediately. Instead, I hesitated because of the nursery, the joke, and the way Camille had said not unless you mean it. Lucy noticed. She noticed everything. "Does Camille not want to be important?" "I think Camille wants to be careful." "Because of Rose?" My head snapped up. "How do you know about Rose?" Lucy looked guilty. "I saw the name when the door was open. I asked Mr. Alvarez, and he said I should ask Camille, but I didn't because you say not to ask people questions that might hurt." I rubbed a hand over my face. "She had a baby named Rose. The baby died. Like Grandma's dog?" "No, Bug. Not like a dog. Worse, much worse." Lucy sat quietly, absorbing that. "Can a mom still be a mom if her baby isn't here?" "Yes," I said. "Always." Then she goes on my tree. It was said with the absolute authority of a 7-year-old who had settled a matter adults had made too complicated. I looked toward the window. Camille was kneeling beside her roses in the fading light. "Maybe you should ask her first." Lucy was already out of her chair. I caught her before she reached the door. "Tomorrow. We ask tomorrow." The next morning, Camille was trimming dead blooms when Lucy marched across the lawn with the family tree in both hands. I followed several steps behind, ready to rescue everyone. "Camille," Lucy said, "do you want to be important?" Camille looked at me over Lucy's head. "That depends," she said carefully. "Important to whom?" "Me." The shears went still. Lucy held up the paper. "You can go in this circle. It says important family member. Daddy said I have to ask because you like being careful." Camille's eyes moved to mine again. There was no accusation in them, only a raw question I did not know how to answer. "You don't have to," I said. Lucy turned on me. "She knows that." Camille knelt so she was level with her. "I would be honored to go on your tree," she said, "but I want you to know something. Being important doesn't mean I'm trying to take anyone else's place." "There are lots of circles," Lucy said. Camille smiled then, a small, surprised smile. "Yes," she whispered. "There are." Lucy handed her a green marker. Camille wrote her name in the circle slowly, as if signing a promise. That should have been the beginning of something simple. Instead, that afternoon, my phone rang with a number I had not seen in almost 5 years. Brooke. I stared at it until it nearly stopped ringing. Camille saw my face. "Do you need me to take Lucy inside?" I nodded. She did not ask why. She just called Lucy over to help choose flowers for the front planter and walked her toward the blue cottage. I answered on the last ring. "Hello?" For a moment, there was only breathing. Then, a voice I remembered from a life that felt borrowed said, "Ethan, it's me." My hand tightened around the phone. "I know, I'm in Nashville." I looked across the lawn. Lucy was crouched beside Camille, pointing seriously at marigolds. "What do you want, Brooke?" "I want to see my daughter." The world did not stop. A lawnmower started 3 houses down. A delivery truck rolled past. Somewhere, a dog barked. Ordinary sounds continued while the sentence I had feared for 5 years settled into my bones. "You don't get to call her that, like no time passed." "I know." Her voice cracked. "I know I don't get anything. But I've been sober 14 months. I'm in a recovery program. I have a job, I have a sponsor. I'm not asking to take her. I'm asking for 1 meeting. Supervised, whatever you need." My first instinct was to say no. My second was to protect Lucy from having a father who made permanent decisions from temporary fear. "I'll call you back," I said. "Please do." I hung up and stood in my driveway, looking at the life I had built from the pieces she left behind. Camille came back alone. "Lucy is arranging flowers by height," she said. "She has informed me that nature needs management." I tried to smile. It failed. "Her mother wants to see her." Camille's expression changed, but not in the way I expected. There was concern, yes, but also caution. "What do you want?" "I want to say no." "That isn't what I asked." I looked at her. "I want Lucy never to be hurt again." Camille nodded. "That isn't something either of us can promise." The answer irritated me because it was true. She left a 2-year-old in a house with no food and a disconnected phone. "I know what she did was terrible." "No, you know the sentence. You weren't there." Camille absorbed that without flinching. "You're right," she said. "I wasn't." The quiet dignity of it took the anger out of me. I sat on the porch step. "She says she's sober. That matters. It doesn't erase anything. No, it doesn't." Camille sat beside me, leaving space between us. "But Lucy may someday need to know you didn't use Brooke's worst years to decide the rest of her life." I stared at the street. "You think I should let her come back? I think you should ask a family counselor and an attorney instead of your terrified neighbor." Despite everything, I laughed once. Camille looked toward her house. "And Ethan?" "Yeah? Whatever you decide, don't make me the reason." I turned to her. She kept her eyes ahead. "I care about Lucy. More than is probably wise. But I will not become the good woman standing beside you in a story where Brooke is only the bad one. Addiction has already taken enough from your daughter. Don't let it take the possibility of truth, too." That was the first moment I understood Camille's kindness was not softness. It was courage with boundaries. And that was the moment I began to fall in love with her. The family counselor's name was Dr. Patel. She had a calm office, a loud clock, and the unnerving habit of waiting through silence until people stopped hiding inside it. Brooke agreed to every condition: proof of treatment, weekly drug screens, no unsupervised contact, no promises to Lucy, and no discussion of custody until the counselor believed Lucy was ready. Our first meeting happened without Lucy. I had not seen Brooke since the day she left. She walked into Dr. Patel's office, wearing navy slacks and a plain white blouse. Her hair was shorter. She looked healthier, older, and smaller than the monster I had carried in my head. She stopped 3 feet from me. "You look tired," she said. "You don't get to say that." "I know." She sat across from me and placed both hands in her lap to hide their trembling. For 40 minutes, Dr. Patel asked questions. Brooke answered without defending herself. She told us she had relapsed 6 times, slept in shelters, stolen from her sister, and spent 3 months in jail for possession. She said she had written Lucy letters she never mailed because her sponsor told her apologies were not a substitute for stability. Then she looked at me. "I know you kept her alive while I disappeared," she said. "I know you did every fever and every nightmare and every birthday. I'm not asking her to call me Mom. I'm asking for the chance to become someone she can safely know." I wanted to hate her. Hatred would have been easier than watching a broken person tell the truth. Dr. Patel asked what I needed. "Time," I said, "and no surprises." Brooke nodded. "You have both." The first supervised visit was scheduled for the following Saturday at the counselor's office. Telling Lucy was harder. She sat at our kitchen table with Mr. Waffles, a stuffed dog she had owned since preschool, tucked under one arm. "Your mother is back in Tennessee," I said. Lucy went completely still. "Is she better enough?" The question nearly broke me. "She is working very hard to be healthier. A counselor thinks it might be okay for you to meet her for a little while, with me there. Do I have to?" "No." "Will she cry?" "Probably." "Will you?" "Probably." Lucy considered that. "Can Camille come?" I had expected it, and still did not know how to answer. "This first meeting should be about you and Brooke." Lucy's chin tightened. "I want Camille." Before I could respond, there was a knock at the back door. Camille stepped in carrying a bowl of strawberries. She read the room immediately. "You told her," she said. Lucy turned to her. "Come with me." Camille set the bowl down and knelt beside the chair. "I can't be in the room for the first visit." "Why?" "Because your mother might already feel afraid that there isn't room for her." "There are lots of circles," Lucy said, repeating her own wisdom. "Yes, there are. But sometimes grown-ups need time to see them." Lucy looked betrayed. "You said you were important. I am important. And because I am, I have to help your dad do what is best for you, not what makes me feel wanted." Lucy slid off the chair and ran to her room. I started after her, but Camille stopped me with a hand against my chest. "Give her 1 minute. You hurt her." "I know. You could have come." And turned a frightened first meeting into a contest between 2 women? No. There it was again. That strength I sometimes mistook for distance. "She needs you," I said. "She needs to learn I can say no and still stay." Camille went down the hall. I heard her knock. "I'm angry at you," Lucy called. "You're allowed. Go away. I'll sit outside the door. You said you couldn't come. I can't come to the meeting. I can sit on this floor for as long as you need." There was silence. Then the door opened. I stayed in the kitchen because some moments belong to the people inside them. The visit with Brooke lasted 23 minutes. Lucy sat beside me on a couch and stared at the woman who had given birth to her. Brooke did not reach for her. She did not call her baby. She simply said, "Hi, Lucy. Thank you for coming." Lucy asked 3 questions. "Why did you leave?" "Because I was sick and making dangerous choices." "None of it was your fault. Did you forget me?" "Never." "Why didn't you come back sooner?" "Because wanting to be safe and being safe are not the same thing. I kept failing. I didn't want to fail next to you." Lucy listened. Then she asked to leave. In the parking lot, she climbed into the back seat and said, "She looks like me." Yes. I don't like that. You don't have to like anything today. When we got home, Camille was sitting on our porch steps with 2 lemonades. She did not ask how it went. She held out 1 glass to Lucy. Lucy took it and sat beside her. After a minute, she leaned against Camille's shoulder. Camille kept her promise. She had said no, and she had stayed. Over the next 3 months, our lives became a careful arrangement of appointments, ordinary days, and feelings no calendar could organize. Brooke saw Lucy every other Saturday. At first, they played board games in Dr. Patel's office. Later, they met at the library. Brooke never missed a visit. She did not bring extravagant gifts. She brought a new pencil case once and a book about horses after Lucy mentioned she liked them. Camille remained close without trying to stand in the center. She helped Lucy practice a school presentation when anxiety made her words stick. She taught her to pause, breathe, and start again. She showed up for soccer games with orange slices and no understanding of the rules. Some evenings, after Lucy was asleep, Camille and I sat on the low wall between our yards. We talked about almost everything except the nursery and the sentence she had given me there. Not unless you mean it. One humid July night, the power went out across the neighborhood. Lucy fell asleep on our couch beneath a battery lantern. Camille and I sat on her back porch, listening to cicadas and watching heat lightning pulse behind the trees. I was engaged to Rose's father, she said suddenly. I waited. His name was Dean. After Rose died, he packed 1 suitcase and told me he couldn't breathe in the house. I believed him. I told myself grief made people do cruel things. Did he come back? 3 weeks later, for his golf clubs. I closed my eyes. Camille gave a humorless laugh. That was the moment I stopped excusing him. Why keep the room? She looked toward the dark window of her house, because changing it felt like agreeing she had never been expected. And because some part of me thought if I kept everything ready, I was still the woman who might have a family someday. You can still have one. The words came too quickly. Camille turned toward me. I could have looked away. I did not. I don't mean you should replace her, I said. I mean your life didn't end in that room. Neither did yours when Brooke left. No, but you lived like it did. So did you. We sat there with the truth between us. Then Camille reached across the space and took my hand. It was the first time she had touched me since the day she led me into the nursery. I don't know how to do this, she whispered. Neither do I. That is not reassuring. It's honest. She smiled faintly. You use honesty like a crowbar. Occupational habit. The lightning flashed again. In the brief silver light, she looked younger than 26, and older than grief. I lifted my free hand and touched her cheek. I moved slowly enough for her to stop me. She did not. Our first kiss was quiet, careful, and nothing like rescue. Neither of us was drowning. We were 2 people standing on uncertain ground, testing whether it might hold. When we pulled apart, Camille rested her forehead against mine. Do not joke tomorrow, she said. I won't. Do not pretend it was the power outage. I won't. And do not ask me to marry you. I laughed softly. Not tonight. She leaned back enough to look at me. Good answer. The power returned 5 minutes later. Every porch light on the street came on at once, but neither of us moved. For a while, it was good. Not perfect. Good. Camille started having dinner with us twice a week. Lucy learned that Camille hated pickles and loved old detective shows. I learned Camille sang when she cleaned, but only when she thought no one could hear. She learned I checked every door twice before bed because 5 years earlier, I had found our front door open after Brooke disappeared. One Sunday, Camille asked whether I would help her dismantle the crib. We went into the nursery after lunch. Lucy stayed with Mr. Alvarez next door. Camille stood in the doorway for a long time. "I'm not erasing her," she said. "No, I'm making the room tell the truth." "What truth? That she was here? And she is gone." "Both things." I took the crib apart, one bolt at a time. Camille wrapped each piece in an old quilt. We packed the baby shoes, the books, and the stuffed lamb into a cedar chest. She kept the name on the wall. When the room was empty except for the rocking chair and the painted stars, she sat on the floor and cried. I sat beside her. I did not tell her Rose was in a better place. I did not tell her everything happened for a reason. I did not offer any sentence designed to make grief more convenient. I held her while she mourned the child she had loved for 9 months and 11 hours. Later, she fell asleep against my shoulder. The afternoon sun moved across the floor until it touched the painted name. That was the midpoint of our story, though I did not know it then. We had opened the room. We had named what was gone. I thought the hardest part was behind us. Fear always becomes most dangerous after you start believing you have defeated it. The school's autumn family night arrived in September. Lucy had been chosen to read a short welcome speech. She had practiced with Camille for 2 weeks. Brooke came with Dr. Patel's approval. It was the first time she would see Camille. I introduced them in the school lobby. "Brooke, this is Camille Hart, our neighbor." Camille offered her hand. "It's good to meet you." Brooke shook it and glanced at Lucy, who was holding Camille's fingers with her other hand. "I've heard a lot about you," Brooke said. Her tone was not hostile, but the pain in it was impossible to miss. Lucy's speech went beautifully. She paused when she needed to, found her breath, and finished every word. The audience applauded. She ran off the little stage, straight toward us. "Mom, I did it!" she shouted. All 3 women froze. Lucy had not been looking at Brooke. She had been looking at Camille. The joy vanished from her face as she realized what she had said. Brooke stepped backward, as if struck. Camille released Lucy's hand immediately. "Brooke," I began, "I need some air." She walked out. Lucy burst into tears. Camille crouched in front of her. "You did nothing wrong. I called you Mom. You were excited. Words come out before we choose them sometimes. Is Brooke mad?" "She is hurt. Hurt and angry are not always the same." I looked toward the exit. Every protective instinct in me split in 2. "Stay with her," I told Camille, and went after Brooke. I found her beside the parking lot, breathing hard. "I knew it," she said. "I knew someone else would have my place." "You left it empty." The sentence came out sharper than I intended. Brooke flinched. I regretted it immediately, but regret does not pull words back. "You're right," she said. "I did." And she filled it. She didn't try to. That makes it worse. Brooke wiped her face. "If she were cruel, I could hate her. She's kind. Lucy trusts her. I'm the woman who needs a counselor in the room. You are also the woman who has shown up for 6 months. 6 months against her whole life. It isn't a competition. It is when you're the one losing." The next morning, Brooke filed a request through her attorney for a formal visitation schedule. She did not ask for custody. She asked for every other weekend, supervised at first, with a path toward unsupervised time. It was reasonable. It terrified me. And terror made me cruel to the wrong person. Camille came over that evening with takeout and found legal papers spread across my table. "Brooke filed," I said. "I heard." "You heard?" "She called me. My head came up." "Why would she call you?" "To apologize for leaving the school." and to ask whether I was trying to become Lucy's mother. What did you say? I said no. The answer landed like a door closing. Camille saw it happen. Ethan, that is not the same as saying I don't love her. She calls you mom, and your first response is to tell Brooke you're not trying to be one? My first response was to protect Lucy from being turned into proof that one woman won and another lost. She needs somebody who chooses her. I have chosen her every day, then why are you always halfway out the door? Camille went still. I knew I had found the wound and pressed anyway because fear wanted company. You keep your own house, your own routines, your own exit, I continued. You say you care, but the second this gets complicated, you make sure everyone knows you are only the neighbor. Her face changed slowly. I was the neighbor when I sat outside Lucy's bedroom while she hated me. I was the neighbor when I helped her find her words. I was the neighbor when I packed Rose's crib with you because I trusted you with the worst room in my life. I didn't mean— Yes, you did. Her voice stayed quiet. You mean that if I loved you correctly, I would make your fear disappear. I can't. I stood, ashamed and still angry. Brooke is asking for weekends. What if she relapses? What if Lucy gets in a car with her? What if I miss one sign and lose my daughter because I tried to be fair? Camille's expression softened, which somehow hurt more. There it is, she said. That is the real thing. I can't lose her, I know. No, you don't. She inhaled as though I had slapped her. The nursery existed between us. Rose existed between us. 11 hours existed between us. I wanted to take the words back. Pride stopped me for one fatal second. Camille picked up her purse. You are right, she said. I do not know what it is to lose Lucy. But you know I understand loss. You chose to deny that because you wanted to hurt someone as badly as you were hurting. Camille, I was offered a position in Louisville last month, a pediatric rehabilitation center. I turned it down because I thought I was building a life here. My stomach dropped. They called again today. I'm going to ask whether it's still open. She walked out before I could decide whether to apologize or beg. The back door closed softly. Lucy stood in the hallway in her pajamas. What did you do? She asked. I had no answer that would not make me look exactly like the frightened fool I was. For 10 days, Camille barely spoke to me. She never punished Lucy. She still waved, still asked about school, still returned a library book Lucy had left in her car. But she stopped coming inside. The low wall between our yards became a border again. Brooke's visitation hearing was scheduled for Monday morning. On Sunday, I learned Camille had accepted the job in Louisville. She would leave in 3 weeks. Lucy heard it from Mr. Alvarez, who assumed we already knew. She came into the garage while I was sanding a cabinet door. Camille is moving. I shut off the sander. I know. Because of you? Yes. Fix it. I'm trying to figure out how. You fix houses all day. Her eyes filled. Why can't you fix one person staying? Because people are not houses. Then stop acting like she is broken. She ran out. That night, a line of thunderstorms rolled through Franklin. Rain hammered the roof. Wind bent the maple trees between our properties. At 9:30, the power failed. At 9:35, I went to check on Lucy and found her bed empty. The back door was unlocked. My heart stopped. I searched the yard, the garage, and Mr. Alvarez's porch. I shouted her name into the rain until my throat tore. Then I saw a light in Camille's house. I ran across the flooded grass and pounded on the door. Camille opened it wearing sweatpants, holding a flashlight. Lucy's gone. The color left her face. What? She heard you were moving. Her back door is open. Camille grabbed her coat. The treehouse. We had started building it in the big maple at the back edge of our lots, but I had stopped after discovering rot in one support branch. Lucy had been forbidden to climb it until I rebuilt the platform. We ran through the rain. Lightning revealed a small shape huddled on the unfinished platform 12 feet above the ground. "Lucy!" She looked down, crying. "Don't come up." The ladder moved. The old extension ladder had slipped sideways in the mud. The platform groaned under the wind. Camille reached it first. "I'll hold the ladder," she said. "No, the branch is weak, I know. You told me where." She planted both feet in the mud and gripped the rails. "Go." I climbed. Halfway up, the tree shifted and Lucy screamed. "Look at me," Camille called to her. Her voice cut through the storm, with the same steady rhythm she used when Lucy's words became stuck. "Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Keep your eyes on me." Lucy obeyed. I reached the platform, wrapped one arm around her, and clipped the safety line from my work belt around us both. I had brought it without remembering. The trip down felt endless. Camille held the ladder while rain streamed down her face. When my boots hit the ground, Lucy threw herself at her. "Don't move," she sobbed. "Please don't move away." Camille held her so tightly I could see the truth before she spoke it. "I'm here right now. That's not forever." "No," Camille said, crying too. "Forever is a promise people should make carefully." Lucy looked at me over Camille's shoulder. "Daddy made you leave?" "Yes," I said. I did. The honesty hurt, but hiding had already cost enough. We took Lucy into Camille's house, dried her hair, and wrapped her in blankets. She fell asleep on the couch between us, one hand tangled in Camille's sleeve. For a long time, the storm spoke for us. Then I said, "I used Brooke's return as an excuse to demand that you prove you would never leave." Camille stared at the dark window. "I thought if you loved us enough, you could make uncertainty disappear. When you couldn't, I accused you of keeping an exit. You said I didn't understand losing a child. I said the one thing I knew would cut deepest. Yes, I am sorry. Not because you're leaving. Because it was cruel." She looked down at Lucy. "I accepted Louisville because I was afraid you were right," she said. "Part of me does keep an exit. I have spent 3 years making sure no one can leave me without my permission. If I go first, I control the loss." I nodded. "That doesn't make what I said true." No, but it makes what I did understandable. Understandable isn't always wise." A faint smile touched her mouth. "There is the crowbar again." I reached for her hand, but stopped before touching it. "The hearing is tomorrow. I'm going to agree to a structured visitation plan." Camille turned toward me. "I'm terrified," I said. "But Brooke has stayed sober. She has followed every rule. Lucy deserves the chance to know her without carrying my fear as her inheritance." "That is brave." "No. Brave is apparently climbing a bad ladder in a thunderstorm because your daughter inherited your talent for dramatic decisions." Camille almost laughed. "I'm not asking you to turn down Louisville tonight," I said. "I'm not asking you to move into my house or promise forever because Lucy is asleep between us. I'm asking whether we can stop using departure as a weapon." She studied me. "Yes," she said. "We can start there." The next morning, I sat across from Brooke in mediation and agreed to every other Saturday visits for 3 months, followed by 1 daytime visit without supervision if her counselor approved. No overnights, no driving Lucy, immediate suspension if she missed a test or appointment. Brooke accepted without argument. Then she surprised me. "I don't want every other weekend yet," she said. "I want to earn an afternoon first." Her attorney looked startled. Brooke looked at me. "I spent years taking too much. I'm not going to start recovery by taking more than Lucy can give." For the first time since she returned, I saw the outline of the mother she might become. Outside the courthouse, she asked about Camille. "She may move," I said. "Do you love her?" "Yes." "Then don't make her pay for what I did." I looked at the woman I had once loved, the woman I had hated, and the woman trying to become someone new. "I won't." Camille did not leave for Louisville. She did not stay because I made a speech. She stayed because she called the clinic and negotiated a consulting role that let her travel twice a month without abandoning the life she had begun to want. It was not sacrifice. It was a choice with room for her ambition and for us. Over the following year, Brooke kept every appointment. Lucy called her Brooke at first. Then, one afternoon at the zoo, she called her Mom and did not apologize to anyone. Camille heard about it and smiled. "Lots of circles," she reminded me. "The nursery became a reading room." We kept Rose's name on the wall and placed the cedar chest beneath it. Lucy chose a yellow chair. Camille added shelves. I built a window seat wide enough for all three of us. On the anniversary of the storm, I made cinnamon rolls from scratch. They were still terrible. We ate them in Camille's kitchen anyway. Lucy took one bite and said, "You should ask her again." Camille raised an eyebrow. "Ask me what?" My heart started pounding. I had planned something quieter for the following week. The ring was hidden in my tool chest, but our story had never respected my schedules. I stood, walked around the table, and held out my hand to Camille. This time she laughed nervously. "Ethan, I am not joking." Her smile disappeared. I led her down the hall to the room where she had once taken me without a word. The painted stars were still on the wall. Rose's name remained above the cedar chest. Lucy followed, carrying the tray of burned cinnamon rolls like a ceremonial offering. I knelt beside the yellow chair. "The first time I asked, I was hiding inside a joke," I said. "You showed me this room because you needed me to understand that marriage, family, and promises had a cost. I understand now. I took out the ring. I am not asking you to replace anyone. Not Rose, not Brooke, not the life you thought you would have. I am asking you to build the life that comes next with me. I will not promise that no one will hurt, leave, relapse, or become afraid. I promise we will tell the truth before fear tells it for us. I promise there will be room for every name that belongs on the wall and every person who belongs in Lucy's heart." Camille covered her mouth. "So, Camille Hart, will you marry me?" She looked at Lucy. Lucy nodded fiercely. "He means it this time." Camille sank to her knees in front of me. For 1 second, she said nothing, just as she had said nothing the day the story began. Then she took my face in both hands. "Yes," she whispered. "I mean it too." We married the next spring in the backyard between our two houses. Brooke sat in the second row beside Dr. Patel. Mr. Alvarez cried louder than anyone. Lucy carried a small bundle of roses and placed one beneath the painted name in the reading room before the ceremony. We did not sell either house. We opened a gate in the fence and built a covered walkway between the kitchens. Camille said a family did not always have to erase the distance between where people began. Sometimes it only needed a safe way to cross it. Years later, when people asked how we became a family, Lucy always told the truth. "My dad made terrible cinnamon rolls and proposed as a joke," she would say. Camille showed him the room where jokes weren't allowed. Then they spent a year learning how to mean what they said. That was our love story. Not a rescue, not a replacement, not two lonely people pretending the past had disappeared. It was a blue cottage, A small brick house, an open gate, and a room where one child's name stayed on the wall, while another child filled the shelves with books. It was Brooke, earning her way back one honest afternoon at a time. It was Camille learning that staying did not require surrendering herself. It was me learning that protecting my daughter did not mean controlling every person who loved her. And it began with the most careless proposal of my life. The joke ended the moment Camille led me to her bedroom without a word. The promise began when I finally understood why. If this story moved you, subscribe, share it with someone who believes families can grow without replacing anyone, and tell me in the comments, what promise would you never make as a joke?